The title of our program today is Professional Design Secrets Revealed. So I'm going to be spilling the beans on everything that we do to make our jobs faster, easier, more beautiful, and also make your home more beautiful as well. A little bit about myself. I am a local interior designer here in the Orlando area. I design sofas, chairs, tables, all those things, lighting as well. I'm also a renovation specialist. I have been renovating homes my entire life, actually. My family started renovating homes when I was a child, and I kind of caught the bug and renovated homes on my own from thereafter. Starting at age 21, I think, I bought my first home, and it was over 100 years old. I renovated that house, and I still have that house to this very day, actually. I've also appeared on HGTV. I've been in various magazines and websites promoting my design and showcasing my design. The name of my shop is Gilded Home. It does not mean that everything is like gold, Donald Trump gilded gold. It just means that what I think of gilded is you take something that's ordinary and you really make it special and more beautiful. So that's what I think about when I think of gilded. The name of my design firm is John McClain Design. That one was a little easier to come up with than Gilded Home, as you can imagine. All right, let's jump into the presentation. And I think this is probably the most asked question that I receive as a designer. And also, we're on the wall wizard stage, and he of course knows all the tricks of painting and how to apply those finishes to the wall. Brian and I were talking, and that's actually one of the questions that he gets as well, is what color do I paint my room? What color do I paint my house? How do I even start? What color palette should I use? So I hope by talking to you today, I'll give you some of that advice, make that process a little faster for you, and maybe demystify a couple of things that you might be thinking about is a little harder than what it really is. All right, here's how I start. Find an inspiration. Find something that inspires you. It can come in any shape or form. It can come in a beautiful sunset. I saw a sunset as I was driving one day. I took a photograph of it. I took that picture to the paint store and I matched every single color from that sunset, and those are the colors that I painted the exterior of a house from. No kidding. So look to Mother Nature. She never gets it wrong. From beautiful forest, all the different shades of green, to again sunsets, to oceans. All of these things can inspire you to start your color palette for your home. Also, area rugs are a great place to start. A lot of companies pay designers a lot of money to come up with these patterns and colors for these area rugs. So we should use that for our own benefit and take what they've spent all their time doing and use those colors as a starting place for the design for your home. It really is a great place to start. You can literally take it from the rug. You can take every color from the rug and make that your room, or you can take one special color that you find in there and make that the starting place for your room. Either way it works. I usually will take one color from the rug and make that the starting spot for a room if I do choose to start with a rug. Pillows are another great option to choose from when you're looking for inspiration. This pillow, for instance, you could take the entire pillow and use it as an inspiration. You could take the background color, which is a neutral. Maybe your sofas and chairs would be the dark blue, and the lime green could be your accent colors in the room. So don't forget the pillows as a great place to start too. And every design store, from Pottery Barn to West Elm to Gilded Home, we all have pillows. So you can get those pillows, start as an inspiration board, and then work from there to make your design a finished product. Paintings are also a great place to look for inspiration. All these paintings have gorgeous colors in them. Maybe you have a painting in your home that you own already. Maybe you're thinking of buying a piece of art. Look to the painting for inspiration to guide you on where to start for your design project. Now, not every painting is the best painting to use. I don't know that dogs playing poker would be my first choice for designing a room around, but you know what? That bulldog alone has probably 4 different color palettes in it, so maybe it's not so bad, who knows? But again, the moral of the story is find some inspiration no matter where you find that inspiration. Next, so you've chosen your main color. Maybe it's a blue, maybe it's a gray, maybe it's an orange. I don't even care what that color is. You're gonna wanna choose a low light and a highlight from that main color, which means one step above and one step below what that first color choice is. To demonstrate that, I'm going to show it to you on Hollywood Actresses today. These really well-known actresses will let you see what I'm trying to demonstrate. So, the lovely Jennifer Aniston and the even more lovely Miss Piggy. You have the base hair color, And on top of that, you're going to have highlights and lowlights. So what that gives you is this amazing depth to their hair. The same concept works for your home. If you find that main color that you choose for your project, and you go one step up and one step below, you have this very visually interesting project that has all these different layers in it, and it makes it a much more beautiful, inviting palette. Let's talk about it in relation to actual paint colors instead of pigs. So this one will show you the gray we were talking about. So let's assume that this is your main color choice for your room. One step above and one step below, those are your next steps to choose your paint color. Here is various shades of gray, not the shades of gray like the movie and the book that are about to come out, but the shades of gray in relation to paint colors. You can see how one simple color can transform itself and turn into all these various colors. It's an amazing thing. So you have all the different shades. Depending upon what you add to a color, the color changes. Whether you add more tint or whether you add more shade, the color grows darker or it grows lighter. But here you see a simple gray palette can literally turn into an entire room design. It's such an amazing thing. And this will happen with any color that you choose. It doesn't have to be a gray. The final step in your color palette. So we've chosen our main color. We have chosen the highlights and the lowlights. Now we're going to really make that room come to life. How are we going to do that? We're going to add an accent color, a contrasting color to the room. That can, honestly, that can be any color that you like. Do you like pinks? Do you like blues? Do you like yellows? It really doesn't matter. Your contrasting color is a color that's really personal to you, one that you love. And I promise you, if you look around your house, you're probably going to see a lot of that color scattered throughout your house already in different rooms. And you may not realize that it's your favorite color until you see it all around your house. But you'll see what it does here. It takes a blank palette, again, of the grays that we talked about earlier. You add those pops of colors in there, and it really brings that room to life. So again, any color you choose here can be your pops of color, your accent color. But if you follow the steps that we talked about, you'll have the nice base palette down, and all of those accent colors will work beautifully in there. You're going to want to repeat that pop of color 3 to 5 times throughout the room to give a much more impactful look. If you just do it once, it's not going to work. If you do it twice, it's pretty good. 3 to 5 is really the much better way to do it. We're talking about paint colors. We live in Florida. A lot of us are so terrified of painting our rooms dark colors. Don't be scared of painting your rooms dark colors. I think they're beautiful personally. I usually put them in a lot of projects that I work on. Doesn't have to be the whole home. It can be one room. It can be a powder room. And I will tell you more about powder rooms later because I do love a good powder room. But make sure that you at least consider painting your room a dark color because it is a wonderful way to transform any space in your home. Here you'll see just a couple of dark rooms. The walls are mostly dark. Some of the furniture is, but you really want to make sure that you add accent pieces in a contrasting color to make that dark color stand out and to make these accent pieces stand out. So you don't want everything to get lost in the room like you're in a tunnel or a cave. You want to make sure that you put in pieces in there that really stand out on their own. Things to consider when you are going to paint your room a dark color, or if you're even thinking about painting your room a dark color. And think about it. At least think about it when you are redoing your home. Think about choosing one room and making that a darker color room. I think you'll be happy with it. Some dark colors actually recede. They make the room look larger. I know we've had it drilled into our heads that to get a room larger, we have to paint it a lighter color, a white, taupe, any of those things. It's not the case. Some dark colors actually recede and make the room feel bigger, more expansive. So don't forget that as you're considering your color palette for your room. Do you have a lot of natural light in the room? That's important to remember too. How much light you have in general is important, but how much natural light is also really, really important into the room, and how that light reflects off the walls, and the color will literally transform throughout the day as as the light changes in the room, the color will actually change throughout the room. Paint sheen. We've all been to Home Depot and Lowe's, and we've seen all the different paint colors there, and that enough is overwhelming. But when you think about what sheen do I use on that paint, it's probably even more overwhelming because you don't even know where to start. In general, for every house that I do, I usually use an eggshell finish and I use satin on the trim for most colors. But in a dark color, do not go below a satin finish on any dark color that you paint. the paint will be, again, like a cave. It'll feel very dull, it'll feel very lifeless. If you have a sheen on it, the light will reflect off of that paint, whether it's an artificial light or whether it's natural light from outside. The sheen really is important. I love a high gloss paint in a dark color in a room. I think it's gorgeous. That really does turn into a different feel when you paint the room a high gloss look. So my dining room is black. I know, scary, right? You're all terrified. But it really is pretty because it's a high gloss Venetian plaster. I have it sanded down to a nice shine finish, and all the light shines on it, and it really does take on its own form. Lastly, is it a warm tone or is it a cool tone? Warm tones and cool tones, I'm going to explain a little bit deeper, but that really does affect what color you paint your room and how that color looks once it's in the room. So let's talk about that. I don't want to get too design school on you and want you to zone out like I did in class too often, but this is the color wheel that you'll see, and you may have seen this before in various things, but I've divided it between the warm tones and the cool tones. Again, the warm tones are probably what you would think of warm tones. Think of a roaring fire or a beautiful flower, the golds, the reds, all those things that you think about being warm and hot, those are the warm tones in a room. The cool tones are your blues, your purples, your lighter colors, things that are colder, cooler. Those are your cooler tones in the room. Every room needs a little bit of both, but here's how those colors actually affect your walls when they're on the walls. Remember earlier I mentioned that when you paint a room a certain color that it will actually recede, the room will feel larger. Cool tones are where that happens. You'll see the blues of the mountains, the silvers, the whites, those are all in the cool tone families. The room feels bigger. If you were to change and go on the other side of the color wheel, paint that room your warmer colors, they're actually going to draw you in. It's going to feel much more inviting. It's going to wrap its arms around you. So no matter what color you use, make sure you consider the cool tones and the warm tones, but specifically when you're painting a room a dark color, they're vitally important. Draperies. Again, this is something that I usually do in every home, every room that I do if I can, depending upon if there's a beautiful view and the style of the home, but overall I think drapes really transform a room. They make it more inviting, they add texture, they add pattern, but what I want you to take away from today's presentation is how to hang those, I heart drapes, yeah, I had to put that on there. What I want you to take away is how those drapes should be hung in the room. Hang them high. Don't crowd your drapery rod around the top of your window frame. Let's say you have a 6 foot tall window frame like we have here. Your ceilings are normally 8 feet tall or higher if you're lucky enough to have higher ceilings. Don't crowd your drapery rod right above your window frame on the top. Raise it up to the very top. That window will feel much taller, the room will feel bigger, the room will feel much more glamorous and dramatic. It really does change how the room looks when you raise those drapes up. Now, if you have crown molding, like you see here, you're going to want to come down to the bottom of the crown molding. If you don't have crown molding, go ahead and raise the rod all the way up to the ceiling and raise it as high as you can get it. My point is, the room is elongated, the room is much more impactful when you raise your draperies high. And if you are stuck with those 96-inch tall ceilings, which I have those in my home too, raise those drapes up and your eye is lifted and your sight line is lifted and the room feels much bigger. All right, final technique for drapes. We've talked about raising them high. Let's talk about how wide we should hang your drapery rod. This is a don't do. Do not hang your drapery rods up against the top of the windowsill like we talked and right on the edge of the window frame. Do not do that. You want to expand your drapery rod outside of the frame 8 to 10 inches. And what this will do is it will widen your window, make it, again, feel much bigger than what it actually is. And then you want your drapes to line right on the edge of the window frame there. You see instantly in that photograph what it does. And this is using a transparent sheer drape. Imagine if that drape was a solid, how tiny and diminutive that window would feel if you didn't raise it up and spread it out. So that's a do, that is a don't do. I don't want to come into any of your homes and see this drapery's hung this way, so make sure you don't do that. I'll send out the drapery police. Maybe you don't want to have a customized drape. Maybe you don't want to have a drapery made for your home. Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe it's out of the budget. You can really customize a ready-made drape and make it beautiful as a custom-made drape for your homes. And here's a couple of ways that I do that. Here, all I've done is added trim to the drapes. You can add them to the sides, you can add them to both sides, you can add them to the center. It doesn't matter. It takes that ordinary drape that you see in everybody's home. Let's say you go to Pottery Barn and you buy the beautiful drape. You go to your neighbor's house, she has the same beautiful drape. You go to the neighbor's house, they have the same drape. How do you make your drape stand out? You can add that trim to it, and it makes it a customized piece for your home. I'll tell you a couple of trims that I use on mine in a minute, but I wanted to mention too, you can also add that same trim to Roman shades, and it really customizes the Roman shades too, and makes those a one-of-a-kind piece rather than just an off-the-shelf, regular store-bought piece. Here are two windows that I did. I love Greek keys. I will be using Greek keys today. I will be using Greek key patterns 20 years from now probably. I like to design things in a classic style that aren't really faddish, things that you're gonna love now and love 10, 20 years from now. And this is one of the patterns that I use a lot for that. You can also add it to cornice boards. That's a great place to add a nice little trim edge on there, and it takes that ordinary cornice and really brings it to life. A simple addition of a trim added to a pillow really transforms that pillow, takes it up to the next level. If you can't sew, I don't sew, I have to pay people to do that. If you're lucky enough to know how to sew, it's a great, great thing. If you don't, they make these wonderful little applications that you actually iron on the trim. It stays on, you can wash it, it's durable, it's great. That's what I have to use if I'm not paying someone to do it. Another little trick, add some chain to your pillow. It really does take an ordinary pillow and makes it, again, couture, high fashion, gorgeous, amazing, and all you've done is sewn some simple chain to the side of your pillow. I mentioned powder rooms earlier. I call them the jewel box. I think that they should not be overlooked. I think that if I open a powder room door and I'm at someone's house for a party and it's beige like the rest of their house, I just want to leave the party. It's terrible. I think that that's the perfect place to really come out of your comfort zone and really experiment with things that you may have thought about trying in your own home. It's a small room. It's probably, 3 feet by 6 feet, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit larger. It's enough room for a toilet and a sink, but it's also enough room for a lot of drama and a lot of glamour, and I love both of those things. Use vibrant, bold materials or colors, things that you might have thought about using in your home. You're like, oh, I love that, but where am I gonna put it? Put it in your powder room. Try it out there. I promise you it's a great place to experiment with those things. I love this powder room in particular. It has this gorgeous metallic tile on it, beautiful Carrara marble. Again, it's timeless, but when you open that powder room door, I mean, your mouth is going to fall open at a party if you open that powder room door at someone's house, right? So think about that when you do your own powder rooms. It's also the perfect place to add a wall covering. I know wall coverings we thought about, oh my God, I had that in the 90s and the 80s, I hate wall covering. I have never stopped using wall covering, wallpaper, ever. I love it. I think that if you use the right kind of wallpaper and wall covering, it really will transform the room. Here are two bathrooms that I did, two powder rooms actually, in wall covering. And this one is a grass cloth. This is actually the most pinned board, Pinterest photograph that I have on Pinterest. I think it's because of the texture of the grass cloth or just that people never thought about putting the grass cloth in their powder room. This other powder room that I did was a mica wall covering. It's actually real stone in this bathroom, so it's a gorgeous, gorgeous reflective material. So it's real stone that's applied to the wall covering, and you can use it in your home. The benefits of using wallpaper in a powder room is that you have no steam, you have no moisture, so you don't really have to worry about all of those wall coverings getting mildew or getting harmed, where you would have that concern in your master bathroom or in your guest bathroom where you do have a shower and a tub. The powder room, you don't have to have those concerns, so put a wall covering in a powder room. If you haven't looked at wall coverings these days, please go look at them. They are so amazing, so many different textures, so many different colors out there. They really will change the room around. I love mirrors too. This one has mirrors all around it, so you can literally check yourself anywhere you turn, but I think it does add this great sense of glamour. And doesn't that feel like something that you would see in Vegas, something that's just really amazing and astounding? And you're gonna leave that powder room remembering that powder room, so think about that. Here I mentioned tile earlier. This is just tile applied to the back of a powder room. One wall, I'm sure this tile was not inexpensive at all, but we only put it on one wall and a nice vanity there, and the focal point is established, and you have this nice high-end look in this one room without having to do all the walls of the room. So don't forget your powder rooms. Don't forget your powder rooms, whatever you do. Accessorizing, this is the last subject of today, and I think accessories are, without them your room is not finished. You have to have accessories in your room. They really do complete the room. I call them home jewelry. Like Miss Clarice says from Still Magnolias, the only thing that separates us from the animals is our ability to accessorize. So don't lose that ability, make sure you use it. I mean, this room alone, think about it. If this room was done and you had nothing but the sofas and the bookcase and maybe a table, it would be a pretty room, but it wouldn't feel complete, it wouldn't feel alive, it wouldn't have that energy that this room has in this. So make sure you add those accessories in your home to really make it come to life. It might be a little daunting to think about putting accessories in your home, so I've sort of listed a few things to make it easier for you to accessorize your own home. Whether it's a bookcase, whether it's a table, maybe it's a nightstand, any of those things, they all need accessories. They really, really do. Here's how you do it. Group similar color objects together for impact. Again, I mentioned earlier that you might not know what this contrasting color is that you love. You don't know if it's a blue or green. Look around your house. You'll see that color probably repeated throughout your house, and might even be in your clothing. You'll see that color repeated in your clothing. Find that color, group it all together. Maybe you have a collection of pottery, maybe you have a collection of antique items. Group all those colors together and they really will make a much more impactful look. Here is a bookcase that was designed in a color blocking style, which I use a lot. What you do is basically you color block all of the books with the same color binding, and you put those books together and it makes a unified bookshelf. When in doubt, use groups of 3. This is a trick that I've used forever. If you don't really know how to lay out your accessories on your bookshelf or on your table, use them in groups of 3s. This is a no-fail way to do it. You do want to make sure that there are varying heights and that the objects that you use they could be similar, like the 3 vases there, but they're different color, different shapes, different heights. You do want to make sure of that, but a lot of manufacturers now are making it so much easier on us. They're actually making things ready-made in groups of 3s with varying heights and varying colors. So all we have to do is go out and buy it. So it's really easy. But groups of 3s, 5s if you have the space work really well too, but odd numbers I find in general are the way to accessorize and actually anything around your home. Sidebar, if you're doing pendants in your home, hang those in groups of 3s or groups of 5s. That always looks better than an even number too. So try to stay away from even numbers and use the odd numbers. Lastly, don't forget the books. It's a bookshelf. Even if it's a table, put books on it. It'll make you look smarter, and even if you don't read, put books on it. It's a good thing. The way you might want to arrange them, I usually do them in 2 different ways. I will do them vertically, and I will do them horizontally. Both ways make for an interesting look. If I do them horizontally, I usually will set an object on it, maybe a box, maybe something that you've collected, anything like that. It'll sort of anchor that group of books, but arrange it in an interesting way so that you have vertical, horizontal, kind of like you see here. One last trick that I'll tell you that I use for books is always take the jacket off the book. Those jackets are made to sell you on the book. They're really shiny, they're not pretty, they have no age look to them. They're really kind of tacky sometimes. And if you take that jacket off, and you'll see under that jacket is a really beautiful binding, a really beautiful book cover that looks much more aged. It looks much more of a finished result than that nasty book cover. So take all your jackets off. If you don't want to throw them away, stick them in a closet somewhere or a drawer, but try it without the jackets on the books. I think you'll really like it. And that is it. That is some of our design secrets revealed today. I hope you guys picked up on something you can use in your own home and try it out. Try some of these tricks out, see how they work for you. You know, experiment. That's the most important thing. Take a risk. You can paint right over it. If it's an accessory, you can return it. Except in my store, I have a 2-week return policy, so make sure you come back within 2 weeks at my shop. But come visit us. We're actually located in Winter Park, right here in the Orlando area. We design furniture again, have great accessories in our shop as well. And connect with us online. There are our website, our Facebook, our Twitter page, our Instagram page. Connect with us and stay in touch with us. And happy designing for all of you out there. Thank you.